Welcome back, yo's. It is championship racing once again here at SARCO. This is the final round of our open class, open setup, a GTE championship, where today we will crown a new champion. Marius and Jakes are very much up there. Either one of them could win this championship. We head to a Nurburgring for a 40-minute race with the starting qualifying positions determined by a 10-minute qualifying. Just remember, this replay is brought to you by Mettlestate and Thrustmaster. Check the description below for more on the details. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. In first place, that is Christopher in the silver Corvette. Alongside him is Jacques Racing, 0.3 of a second down in second. Moving to row number 2, and Jakes for the Black Mambas. He puts himself third in his Corvette, and he's alongside Ben, the Australian international, in the BMW. Move to fifth place, and that is Jacques in his red and blue Ford GT, and he's alongside our current championship leader Marius in his Aston Martin. Seventh place, the Canary Yellow Ford GT, made famous by Ross. He finds himself in seventh, and he is alongside the only Porsche in this race this evening, that is Theo, our intrepid striker. The fifth row is an all Ford GT affair. The red Ford GT is Duppy. He is in 9th place, with Shane in 10th. Row number 6, and Dylan, he's in the Corvette. He starts off in 11th place, and he out-qualifies Ashley in the Ford GT, Ashley starting in 12th position. 13th place is Marshall. He's in the blue and silver Corvette, and he out-qualifies Durkee starting in that number 9 Ford GT. As we pan around, guys, it is time to end this championship. Let's have a good race. So as we wait for those green lights, it is green lights and we are racing. Jacques has got a great line off the start. He's got himself up alongside Christopher as they head down the main straight into turn number 1. Jacques going to the inside, Christopher on the outside. Little bit, oh, that was Ross going through the signboard. But it is Christopher managing to go around the outside and holding on to that first position. Ben going on the outside with Jacques, tightening up with Theo, starting to pressurize him. Well, little lock up there by Theo as they come through. Well, little contact in the background there. And you can see it was Shane just turning in a little bit on Ross, and unfortunately collecting Duppy on the way out. On board with Jacques Racing on a bumper view as the guys go down into turn number 7. Back on that power. A little look backwards, and you can see Jacques starting to open a gap away from the third place driver. That's Marius, current championship leader. If the positions stay the way they are, Marius will take the championship. Up through turns 9 and 10, the Michael Schumacher S's. Great shot of the drivers coming down towards turn number 11. Generally quite a tricky corner. A lot of guys will lose the rear trying to get that power on a lot earlier. Then out through turn number 12, down the back straight, through turn number 13, flat out. Towards the chicane, turns 14 and 15. See, Jakes has still got Ben behind him. Well, there's Durkee moving to the inside. That looks like he outbraked himself. He's collected Marshall on the way through. Just jumping back into the replay, you can see so much speed. Durkee moved out the way, tried to avoid the guys, but unfortunately Marshall got there before he did. In shot third place, that is Jakes for the Black Mambas. Just behind him is Jacques, then Theo, Ben, Marius, Duppy, Dylan, Marshall, Ross, then Shane. And Duppy has done well after that little contact between himself and Ross. Duppy's definitely going, oh, Marius a little bit wide coming out of turn number 4. A little bit on that curb. That is extremely dangerous, as that curb can grab the rear, unstabilize you, and throw you into the wall on the left hand side. So Morris looking very comfortable at the moment, with Duppy starting to put a bit of a challenge. We drop a little bit further back, and that is Ross starting to close up on Dylan. But it is Dylan starting to close up on Ashley, so we're going to definitely have some close contested racing here. Ashley goes a little bit wide into turn number 8. Dylan back on that power. Ross loses the rear. That's going to allow Shane to move a position up the order. And Ross unfortunately going down. Dylan very sideways up through the first part of the Michael Schumacher S's. Maljacques looking comfortable in 4th place. Just behind him is Theo in 5th. There goes Jakes into turns number 14 and 15. Jacques will follow. Jump to the front of the pack, and Christopher crosses the line. The current positions are Christopher, Jacques, Jakes, Maljacques, Theo, Ben, Marius, Duppy, Ashley, Dylan, Shane, Ross, Dirkie, then Marshall. Into turn number 1 goes Duppy, still trying to close down Marius. There, Theo went past, Ben goes past. Let's jump behind Theo as they go into turn number 3. Turning in, oh, little tag on the rear. That was Ben. That's going to allow Marius to go around the outside of Theo. So he unfortunately loses those 2 places. Jump back to Duppy. He's now going to start seeing that Theo's obviously off his line. We'll try and put an attack on him. Down into turn number 7. Theo gets that rear just a little bit loose. Little look back, and you can see Duppy starting to open that gap ahead of Ashley. Down into turn number 8. There we track Shane coming out of turn number 8. Just in front of him, that is Dylan. Dylan still trying to close that gap on Ashley. And Shane using as much of that track as possible. Coming out of turn number 10. Down into turn number 11. Then this tricky turn number 12. Wanting to get as much of your exit speed to set you up for the straight. Flat out through turn number 13. And then hard on that brakes down into turn 14. We jump on board with Dylan coming through turn number 14. Using the runoff down into the last corner. You can hear that car sliding. Oh, there's Theo on the inside. We can just see Theo here coming through the last corner. Powers on just too soon. That rear lets go. Duppy manages to just go around him. And there goes Ashley, Dylan, as well as Shane. Marius into turn number 1. There goes Ben. Ben's now lost it coming out of turn number 1, so Marius will move ahead of him. Ben holds his line on the outside. Marius defends. Into turn number 3, a much tighter line for Marius that gets him a lot better on the exit now through turn number 5. Oh, in the background there's Ashley. He went very wide. Down to turn number 7. We'll jump back to see what happened to Ashley. You can see that rear just kicked, pushed him off the track, and that allowed Dylan to close that gap. Race leader Christopher, he's now coming into turn number 11, having put himself on pole, managed to win the race against Jacques Racing into turn number 1, and here he leads. In shot, that is the second place, Jacques Racing, still looking for his first win here at SARCO. Just behind him is Jakes, so first, second and third, starting to put a little gap between each of them. Jacques still looking for his first win at SARCO, was unfortunate not able to get it at Spa. Back to our race leader, Christopher Radloff, crosses the start-finish line to begin lap number 4. The current positions are Christopher leads with Jacques racing in second, Jakes is third with Jacques in fourth, Morris he's in fifth place with Ben in sixth, Dip is in seventh with Ashley in eighth place, Dylan up to ninth having started low down on the grid, Shane he's in 10th place with Ross 11th, Dirkie is in 12th place, Theo down in 13th and Marshall 14th position. There's a very heated battle starting to happen lower down in the field. Dylan trying to make a move on Ashley with Shane in that Ford GT very much behind him. Dylan taking the shorter line into turn number 1. Little lock up there by Ashley. Ashley goes wide. Dylan tightens up. Shane follows. Into turn number 2. Ashley defends that inside line. Dylan tightens up. Or Ashley gets a little loose on the rear. Dylan is right behind Ashley coming out of turn number 4. Will follow this battle as they head towards turn number 6. Dylan trying to put himself on the inside. A much tighter line for Dylan. He's able to then tighten up here into turn number 7. Back on the power. Shane is not letting Dylan get away. Down the hill towards turn number 8. On the brakes. Dylan is tighter. Ashley runs himself a little bit wide. Ashley's able to get away with that. Shane here unfortunately drops down a bit. Dylan is off into turn number 10. That's going to allow Ashley to get away. There goes Shane. He's run wide out of turn 10. Ben starting to close up on Marius. Down into the chicanes, turn number 14 and 15. Ben missing that inside curb, allowing the car to be very stable on that power. It looked like Marius had got a much better drive coming out of that last corner, so Ben will not be able to take advantage of that slipstream. Hard on the brakes into turn 1. Oh, Ben has to tighten up. That will allow Marius to get away. Jacques putting a lot of pressure here on Jakes, the Turbo Turtle Racing driver, starting to pressurize the Black Mamba. Tap of the brakes, gear down into turn number 6. Jacques getting right up behind Jakes, but Jakes in the Corvette has a lot of low end torque which will give him the drive out, but the straight line speed of that Ford GT is really good. Little lock up there for Jakes into turn number 8. It seems like Jakes got the better drive coming out of the corner now through 9 and 10. Jakes touches the inside and allows himself a little gap. Dylan still trying to find a way around Ashley. Down into turn number 8. Dylan gets up on that power. Oh, a little tag on the back of Ashley. A little flash of the lights. You can just see here that Ashley goes a little bit wide. Dylan carries a lot more pace. Gives him a little tag. And as the pan out, you'll see that Dylan just flashing the lights. Say sorry for that. But Ashley should have got a move on. Ashley now through turns number 9. Whoa, Dylan is sideways, touching the outside as he exited out of turn number 10. And Shane seems to be catching up to Dylan. Morris still has Ben hunting him down, looking for a way to get around him. Down into turn number 14. Morris taking a lot of the inside curb. You can see how that inside wheel just lifted up off the track. Will chase Ben. Oh, Ben's going a little bit wide. Coming out of that last corner, turn number 16. Just take a look back to see if there's anyone behind him, but there is Drippy in the background. Turn number 1. Whoa, Marius getting that rear sliding. Wasn't able to get that power on, which got Ben a little bit closer than Marius would have liked. Out of turn number 2. Ben is tight into turn 3. Both drivers taking a very similar line through turns number 4. Ben to the inside. Yeah, turn 6, not close enough. Down the hill to turn 7. The battle between Ashley and Dylan continues. Dylan not being able to find a way around him. Down the hill towards turn number 8. Ashley's wide. Dylan locks up. Dylan tries to get a much tighter line and not able to get that power on. They'll come up through turns 9 and 10. Dylan taking a lot of that inside curb, and that allows Ashley to get away from him. Third and a fourth place, and Malzjak still trying to close up here on Jake's. Oh, Jake's taking a lot of the inside on turn number 15. Now through the last corner, turn 16. On board with Ben chasing Morris. Now through turns number 9. Number 10. Flat out through there. Then this tricky turn at number 11. Well, Morris has lost the rear. Morris has spun around. That has now allowed Ben to move up the order. In the replay you can see Morris just getting a little bit sideways. He's going to spin around. And with him trying to get back on the track, we'll lose 2 places. Back to our race leader. Christopher is still in control of this race. He will cross the line. We'll take a look at the positions. Christopher now on lap number 9. He leads with Jacques Racing second. Jake's is third with Malzjak just behind him. Ben, he's now up to 5th place with a spin of Marius. Duppy, he's up to 6th with Morris spinning. Morris now in 7th place with Ashley in 8th, with Dylan still trying to find a way around him in 9th. Durkee, he's in 10th place with Ross in 11th. Shane, he's in 12th place. Theo down in 13th position. And Marshall in 14th place. So the duo of Ashley and Dylan starting to close up on Marius. Now into turn number 1, little lock up there for Ashley in through turn 1. Well, Dylan's a little bit loose, probably from the gear shift down, locking up the rears. Morris will lead this battle into turn number 3. Oh, there's Ben rejoining the track. Wonder what happened there. So here we jump to Ben. You can see him coming through turn number 2. And I mentioned it before, that outside curb can catch you and throw you into the wall. But now Ben is back on the tail of these 3 drivers, so there's going to be a 4-way battle happening very soon. Morris using as much of that curb as possible, followed by Ashley with the Dylan behind him in the Corvette, and then we see Ben coming down the hill, now towards turn number 8. Well, Dylan sliding that Corvette around turn number 8, not able to get that power on. On board with Dylan up through turns 9, now through turn number 10. .100 meter mark on the brakes, turning in through turn number, whoa, very close there. That rear starting to let go as these tires start cooling down on the track. Now through turn number 13 towards the chicane of 13 and 14. Dylan able to close down on Ashley. Oh, Dylan hitting that inside curb and not able to get that power down. Little lock up there. Rear sliding as he powers on. Little catch of the rear. Third place Jakes has Malzjak still behind him. Big lock up there for Jakes, coming into turn number 3. Now through turn number 4. The little kink just before that bridge was turn 5. Morris still has Ashley behind him. Just ahead we saw Duppy. Duppy's looking very comfortable in 5th place. And I'm sure he'd rather be comfortable there. Well, Morris not able to get the power. That allows Ashley to sneak through on turn number 4. Dylan will cut that corner, trying to get himself as close to Morris as possible. down the hill, turn number 7. Dylan's rear sliding once again. Now we have a look into turn number 8. The driver that has been very quiet this race is Ross, but he's now starting to close up on Ben. As we move the camera to him, we see him going very wide into turn 8. Our race leader experiences every single online racer's absolute nightmare. That is Christopher experiencing a disconnect, which means that Jacques Racing, he is our new leader, and the current positions are as follows. Jacques Racing, he leads with Jakes in 2nd, Mal Jacques is in 3rd with Duppy 4th, Ashley's in 5th with Marius 6th, Dylan in 7th place with Dirkie in 8th, Ben, he's down in 9th place with Ross catching him in 10th, Shane is 11th with Theo in 12th, Christopher disconnecting, and Marshall down in 14th position. Ashley, Marius, Dylan. Marius using a lot of that curb once again coming out of turn number 15. Into the last corner, and Marius's rear has gone. That's allowed Dylan to go around the outside. There goes Dirkie. So Marius will lose 2 places. There's 3 places. Here comes Ross. Marius trying to get out the way, but Ross going the same way as Marius. So that is Marius now down to 10th place. This is not where he wanted to be to win this championship. Mal Jacques closing on Jakes here, turn number 8. Jakes has lost the rear. That's allowed Jacques to go around the outside. Jacques has now moved himself up into 2nd position. Now Jakes down to 3rd. He's going to have everything to do to catch up to Jacques, because Jacques has been keeping him honest this entire race so far. Ben's going to have Ross right up behind him, and if Ross is not careful, that is Marius, he will start closing him down. Thought Ross might be a little bit in trouble there, but he did manage to recover coming out of turn number 10. Tap all the brakes, turn 12. Get it turned in. Get that power on. Oh, there goes Dylan. Dylan is gone off the track, not being able to get that car turned in. The car understeering, which has allowed Ben to go past. Here comes Ross looking to the inside into the chicane. Not close enough. So Dylan in all sorts of bother here. This car's just starting to let go. Through the last corner, Dylan's rear slides once again. Ben, Dylan, Ross and Marius. So once again we are going to be having some close racing. Onto the brakes into turn number 1. No lockups. Everyone is through safely except for Dylan. Rear sliding once again, not being able to get the power down. Catch up with our championship leader, and if the race ends off in this position, Marius will not be crowned the champion, so we better get a move on. On board with Ross, chasing Dylan through turn number 6. See the rear just lets go. Ross having to make some evasive driving. Marius needing to do some evasive driving with Ross on the brakes. Dylan rejoining, coming down the hill. And there is Shane starting to now join this party. Dylan really struggling with the rears on this car at the moment. Move the camera forward to Ross. He is beautifully through turns 9 and 10. There's Ben just ahead of him. We'll catch this group coming down the back straight. Dylan sliding once again, not being able to get power down. Ross leads just ahead of Marius there. They'll now come into turn number 14 in the chicane. There's Ben, Ross, Marius, Dylan. Then behind Dylan, there's Shane, then Theo. So these last couple of positions, Ross getting the power on. You can see the little kick of the rear. That's compromised his exit speed. So 6 positions up for grabs here. Just over halfway of this race. Luck up there for Ross. Ross is deep. Morris is able to tighten up. Jump back to Shane as he starts making his move. Getting closer to Dylan. Whoa, Dylan's very loose going into turn number 3 side by side. Dylan moves to the outside but still holds that position. Little flash of lights to apologize back to Shane. Dylan's in all sorts of bother now. You can see he's sliding again. Oh, Shane also slides coming into turn number 6. That's just allowed Theo to close up right behind Shane. And I'm sure Theo will be relishing an opportunity to get some positions here. Now into turn number 8. Can Shane be smooth on the accelerator? Yes, he can. But Theo is even better. Through a Michael Schumacher S's. Shane's a little bit wide. That's going to compromise his line. Theo will close up right behind him. Looking Theo to the inside here into turn. No, he does not. Turn number 11. Shane is able to hold that, but he's wide. That means Theo's going to try around the outside in turn 12. Straight line speed of the Porsche should be able to get him. He had a much faster exit speed. Side by side through turn number 13. Theo now on the inside into the chicane. But Theo allows Shane to go past. Shane is too deep. Oh, a little tag on the back. That's going to allow Shane to get away. Some great racing action there. There's Duppy having a very quiet race now, currently sitting in 4th position. And I'm sure he'll be very happy with his current situation. Ross starting to close up on Marius. Well, there's Marius coming down the hill, turn number 6. He's lost the rear. Same place Dylan did about 2 laps earlier. I think Marius stalled the car. You can see he didn't get that going straight away. So he would have had to have restarted. So Marius now losing 2 positions. He's now down to 11th. This is currently a Durkee is sitting in 5th place, having a very lonely match here. But I'm sure he'll be happy with his positions, having started way down on the grid. A little incident with himself and Marshall, but here he is circulating well. You can see a massive gap between himself and the guys behind him. So there are times where a disconnection will give us a great camera angle. Thank you very much for that, Christopher. We can take a look at the current position. So Jacques Racing, he leads over Mal Jacques in 2nd. It is Jakes in 3rd place with Duppy in 4th. Durkee, he's in 5th with Ross in 6th. Ben, he's in 7th place with Shane in 8th. Theo in 9th with Marius in 10th place. Not where he's going to want to be. Dylan, he's in 11th place with Marshall in 12th. And unfortunately, we lose Ashley 2 laps ago through a disconnection. Big lock up there for Shane into turn number 3. This is a Ford GT versus Porsche 911. Tricky corner here, turn number 6. A lot of the guys saw, you can see Shane's rear getting a little bit sideways. That's compromising. He went in sideways into turn 7. That's going to allow Theo to get up right behind him. Theo wins the race down the hill towards turn number 8, and that will put him up into 8th position, and Shane down into 9th. Duppy coming into turn 14 will clip the inside. That loses the rear. Moves to the inside to try and defend his line. Durkee has to go around the outside. Now they come up towards turn number 16, side by side. Both drivers holding their line. And it is Durkee that will win that battle, coming out ahead. Duppy will try and tuck in behind him to get a slipstream down into turn number 1. but Durkee will hold on to that position. Durkee moves himself up into 4th, and that's Duppy down into 5th. And unfortunately we lose the last 2 laps, but it is Jacques Racing will take his first win here at SARCO. Jacques will come home in 2nd place with Jakes in 3rd. Durkee, he will finish in 4th place with Ross in 5th. Ben will finish in 6th place with Theo 7th. Shane will finish in 8th with Marius in 9th place. Dylan will finish in 10th with Marshall in 11th, and unfortunately Duppy, who was circulating in 5th place, will run out of fuel going through turn number 13 and will have to be forced to retire. Looking at the final championship standings, it is Jakes who is crowned champion of the GTEs. Morris missing out by 4 points, meaning 1 more place would have got him that championship. Shane and Dylan will finish on 169 points, Shane having the highest standing, so taking a 3rd place overall. Christopher, our race leader, and unfortunately disconnecting, finishes 5th overall. Theo will come home in 6th with Durkee in 7th. Jacques Vermeulen will finish in 8th place, having been plagued with disconnections this season. Ross in 9th with Marshall 10th. Jacques in 11th with Ben down in 12th place. Duppy will come home in 13th overall with Stephen 14th and Ashley down in 15th place. So thank you very much guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give this video a like and why not subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification button and you'll be notified of any new videos or live streams that go live. This series was proudly brought to you by Thrustmaster and Mettlestate, and coming up this coming Thursday we'll be starting off with our V8 Supercar Challenge. If you'd like to find out more, check out the description below on how you can get involved. Until then, keep racing, and thanks for watching. Yos.